Hey Steelers Nation, welcome back. Today we are diving deep into all the latest updates surrounding our Pittsburgh Steelers. And there's quite a bit to unpack as we look at the moves that head coach Mike McCarthy is making to build his staff. So far, he has added one person, yes, just one, to his new coaching team, and that is Adam Henry, who will take on a role of wide receivers coach. It's a start, but obviously there's still a long way to go before the roster of coaches is complete, and we can see the full picture of how this team is going to operate in the upcoming season. Now, one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle that fans have been buzzing about is the potential hire of Patrick Graham as the new defensive coordinator. Graham would be coming from the Raiders, and if the reports turn out to be accurate, it will be a huge addition to McCarthy's staff. But as of now, nothing is official. He has not been hired yet, nor has he stepped into the building. The discussions are ongoing, and while it seems likely, it's important to remember that until a contract is signed, nothing is set in stone. The significance of this potential hire cannot be understated. McCarthy has made it clear that he plans to call his own offensive plays, which means the defensive coordinator will have enormous responsibility. Unlike some previous setups where the head coach might lean on the coordinator for input, in this scenario, the defensive coordinator is the leader on that side of the ball. Essentially, Graham, or whoever ends up in this role, will have the autonomy to shape the defense, oversee every aspect, and implement the strategies needed to compete at the highest level. The contrast here is striking when you think back to the tenure of Mike Tomlin, where the defense operated under a more collaborative framework, but with clear accountability resting on the coordinator. Now, if Graham does get the job, reactions are likely to be mixed. He is 47 years old, not exactly young, but not old either, and his resume does not necessarily jump off the page in terms of flashiness. The Raiders struggled overall during his tenure, finishing with a record of 3-14 in their last season, which was the worst in the league. On paper, that might not look impressive, but when you consider the personnel he had to work with, there is more to the story. Max Crosby was the standout, and beyond him, there was a lot of inconsistency and gaps in talent. Yet, despite these challenges, the Raiders ranked 14th in the NFL in total defense. That achievement, given the limitations of the roster, speaks to his ability to get the most out of his players and implement a system that performed beyond expectations. Graham has spent years developing a reputation as a coach who excels at teaching and improving players at the positional level. His previous experience includes working under highly respected names like Bill Belichick, Steve Spagnuolo, and Brian Flores, and his focus has consistently been on development and fundamentals. This is not someone who relies on flashy schemes to make an impact. Rather, he builds players and units capable of executing a plan effectively. For a Steelers team that has often valued discipline and execution on defense, this could be exactly the type of leadership that McCarthy wants on the defensive side of the ball. The discussions about youth and energy in coaching hires are interesting, but in this case, it seems McCarthy is more focused on experience and proven results rather than simply bringing in the latest trend or youngest up-and-comer. While offensive design might benefit from innovative and younger perspectives, defense demands someone with knowledge, familiarity, and a track record. Graham fits that description. Furthermore, he has previously worked with McCarthy in Green Bay back in 2018, which provides an added layer of familiarity and trust. For a head coach, that kind of relationship is invaluable. Knowing that the people around you are reliable, capable, and loyal allows you to focus on your own responsibilities without worrying about potential gaps in leadership. It's also worth addressing the fan reaction to these moves so far. When McCarthy was hired, there was a mix of skepticism and optimism. Some criticized the process, claiming it was shallow or rushed, while others focused on McCarthy's deep connection to Pittsburgh and the idea that he understands the city, the culture, and what it means to lead the Steelers. While it is true that McCarthy's roots in the area create a sense of familiarity and trust, that alone is not enough to guarantee success. People want results, and coaching hires are ultimately judged by what happens on the field, not by hometown ties. McCarthy, in his dual role, will have to demonstrate that he can manage both the offensive play calling and the broader responsibilities of leading a coaching staff effectively. The defensive coordinator choice will be one of the first real tests of that vision in action. Looking at McCarthy's past performance, it's clear he brings a level of offensive expertise that could significantly impact the Steelers' game. His tenure with the Cowboys provides numerous examples of teams performing at the top of the league in scoring and yardage, although injuries and inconsistent quarterback play in later seasons highlight the challenges of sustaining that success. Still, when he has his weapons and a capable roster, McCarthy has proven that he can craft one of the most efficient and explosive offenses in the NFL. Pairing that with a competent defensive leader like Graham could provide the balance the Steelers need to return to playoff contention. Fan messages reflect a variety of opinions on these early moves. Some were initially critical of McCarthy due to the hiring process, but later softened their stance after seeing him speak and understanding his vision. Others emphasize the need for a reset within the franchise, arguing that while the Steelers have had a stable culture under Tomlin, change is necessary to compete in a league that is constantly evolving. McCarthy's approach, blending offensive acumen with strategic hires for defense, might represent the first step toward that reset. The key will be execution and the ability to translate plans into performance on the field. Even though some are still debating whether Graham will excite fans, the emphasis on experience, player development, and leadership cannot be overlooked. In a league where coaching decisions can make or break a season, having someone who can command a defense and get the most out of the roster is crucial. For Pittsburgh, a team with a rich history and high expectations, balancing innovation with reliability may be the best approach. As McCarthy continues to assemble his staff and we get clarity on each hire, the narrative will begin to solidify and fans will start to see the shape of the team that will take the field in the next season. The process of building a coaching staff is never straightforward, and McCarthy is clearly taking a deliberate approach. With offensive responsibilities in his own hands, the defensive coordinator will be the linchpin of the staff's overall effectiveness. Graham's potential role highlights the importance of experience, development skills, and situational expertise. It also shows that Pittsburgh is prioritizing substance over style when it comes to coaching hires. While fan excitement often gravitates toward flashy young coaches, the reality of winning in the NFL often relies on knowledge, preparation, and proven competence. Graham could very well be the embodiment of that philosophy for the Steelers in the coming seasons. As we move further into Steelers Nation discussions, the conversation naturally shifts toward what McCarthy's arrival means for the team's identity and long-term trajectory. One thing is clear. His dual role as head coach and offensive play caller introduces a level of complexity that requires careful balance. With McCarthy running the offense, the defensive coordinator cannot simply be another assistant. They must act as the cornerstone for the entire defensive unit. Patrick Graham, or whoever ends up in that position, will need to manage everything from game planning to player development, ensuring the defense functions at a consistently high level while McCarthy focuses on orchestrating the offense. This level of responsibility is rare, and it will be fascinating to watch how the collaboration develops. Looking at Graham's potential impact, his history speaks to a methodical approach to coaching. Having worked under renowned defensive minds, he has learned to teach players at every position, instill discipline, and maximize the potential of every athlete on the roster. While some fans may critique the lack of flashy credentials or the absence of a youthful persona, the reality is that the Steelers' defense needs someone who can establish a coherent system, emphasize fundamentals, and hold players accountable. Graham's previous experience with teams facing roster limitations demonstrates his ability to adapt, innovate within constraints, and still produce measurable results. That type of leadership is exactly what Pittsburgh will need to compete in the increasingly dynamic and high-powered NFL landscape. At the same time, McCarthy's offensive philosophy offers a clear contrast to his defensive priorities. His track record shows that when equipped with talented quarterbacks and weapons, his offenses can reach the top of the league in scoring and efficiency. However, it also highlights the importance of having a defense capable of complementing such an approach. A lopsided team with an explosive offense and a struggling defense is not sustainable, especially in a division that features multiple balanced and talented squads. Therefore, the synergy between McCarthy's offensive plans and Graham's, or the final defensive coordinator's, execution will be critical. Pittsburgh fans have every reason to pay attention to how quickly this staff can gel and translate strategy into tangible performance on the field. The hiring process itself has sparked a lot of debate among fans and analysts alike. Many initially questioned whether McCarthy's local roots and connections were given too much weight, suggesting that familiarity with Pittsburgh might have overshadowed a broader search for the most qualified candidates. However, as conversations unfold, it becomes clear that a head coach selecting individuals he knows and trusts is not about favoritism. It's about reducing risk and ensuring cohesion. Trust and loyalty in a coaching staff can prevent breakdowns, improve communication, and ultimately impact wins and losses. In a league where margins are thin, having a staff that functions seamlessly together is often as important as individual talent on the field. Fan responses continue to provide a window into the broader sentiment surrounding these hires. Many acknowledge McCarthy's experience and accomplishments, particularly his offensive expertise, but remain cautious about his long-term success in Pittsburgh. There are questions about whether the team is ready for the type of change he represents, and whether he can avoid the pitfalls that have challenged other coaches in similar circumstances. Yet, there is also excitement over the potential for a new era, one where the Steelers combine McCarthy's offensive vision with a disciplined, accountable defensive unit. If executed properly, this balance could put Pittsburgh in a position to compete for playoff success more consistently. Beyond just the immediate hires, the focus for fans is inevitably on results. Steelers Nation has long been accustomed to high expectations, and any coaching decisions will ultimately be judged by performance on the field. While McCarthy's tenure with the Cowboys illustrates his offensive capabilities, the success of this team will hinge on the collaboration between offense and defense, as well as the ability to integrate new personnel effectively. Every hiring decision now sets the foundation for the coming season, free agency, the draft, and eventually training camp. Each step will test the staff's cohesion, strategy, and ability to translate planning into execution during games. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Could this finally be the move that signals the Steelers' next head coach? Rumors are swirling after a flurry of activity within Pittsburgh's organization, leaving fans and insiders buzzing with speculation. Over the past few weeks, whispers about the team's coaching future have intensified, but recent developments suggest the front office may have quietly made its decision. Observers point to key personnel changes, behind-the-scenes meetings, and a strategic shift in the team's operations as signals that a new era could be dawning at Heinz Field. Sources close to the organization indicate that discussions with several high-profile candidates have been ongoing, but one name seems to be emerging as the frontrunner. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the Steelers' recent moves, ranging from roster adjustments to staff realignments, mirror the kind of preparation typically seen when a franchise is ready to announce a head coach. Analysts note that such activity rarely occurs without a broader plan in motion, sparking speculation that Pittsburgh has a firm choice in mind. The candidate reportedly has strong ties to the organization and a reputation for offensive innovation, qualities that align with the Steelers' desire to modernize their approach while maintaining their identity. If true, this could represent a significant shift in strategy, blending the team's traditional strengths with a fresh perspective aimed at long-term success. Fans on social media have already begun debating the potential hire, weighing past achievements, coaching style, and compatibility with the team's culture. Of course, the NFL is never short on surprises, and the Steelers are known for keeping their cards close to the vest. Yet, the pattern of recent moves, especially the timing and coordination, has many insiders convinced that a major announcement could be imminent. For now, speculation remains rampant, but one thing is clear: Pittsburgh's front office is signaling that change is on the horizon, and the next head coach could be just around the corner. The question is no longer if the Steelers will name their new leader, but who will step into one of the league's most storied coaching roles. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.